Welcome back, everybody, here on the Path to LCS stream, where we have game number 2 beginning between Maryville versus Evil Geniuses Prodigies. I'm Grapes, joined here by Rooted once again, but I don't think we were expecting to be here in the draft for the next game this quickly, Rude, because it seemed like we were, getting ready, riling up for a big explosive team fight that was going to decide that game. But Maryville just said, "Nah, I'm just gonna end the game myself."
We were rattling towards a barn burner. That's what we were on our way to. Unfortunately,
and the barn just got the barn just
it was
spontaneously exploded. Yeah. And just we just never got the slow, small, extended demise, I guess.
Exactly. We were expecting to get the marshmallows out, have a nice long roast on the bonfire of that barn, and ultimately everybody in the 6-mile radius just got obliterated.
I'm trying to think how can you it's a barn. This is pretty big, right?
Maybe
so
you just take a a crane. That's what you take.
It seems very complicated for the kind of
for a bonfire to roast marshmallows. Maybe we don't set fire to the barn in the first place.
I mean, the bonfire, not barn fire, would be good for the marshmallows. I don't know. I don't know if I'm poking fun of your accent there. I didn't mean to.
No. Maybe you can make a bonfire, which is a bonfire that is made from a barn. How
Did
far?
You say barn or barn?
Has it gone too far? Has the English accent?
The
British? No
back there. So pull up the graphic again.
No.
That was more clickbaiting. That was our little British reference. If you were just waiting for that moment, then
congratulations.
You can leave, I guess. Yeah, you got the clickbait. This is now just us getting to the next period to get the ad revenue coming in, of course. But just a little bit of a pause before we head into game 2, which is why we're kind of able to poke fun at all this stuff without talking about some of the implications that both these teams have after that game. But we can take a look at what happened in the past if you are just missing out. You see that EG, they're up in kills, up in gold. They have the same amount of dragons. They have more damage in essentially all the roles.
Grapes.
How did
Grapes,
they win?
hold on.
Did they win the game, or did it just flip?
No, it says defeat next to their name, and every metric is in their favor.
Okay.
They had everything going their way, but defeat is next to their name. That was not anticipated. It was not intended. No. But ultimately, Maryville, they came away with it. They managed some absolute crazy stuff with 2 TPs into that top lane, and it doesn't even go there. Like, we look at who did the most damage in the game. It's Doxer on the Zoe. We look at just like I say, every single metric outside
except for support. Remember the shutdown that Zyko got? I mean, that's the one diff right there. That won in the game, Rude. I told you it's gonna matter.
I say every single metric. It is worth noting, turrets, drakes, and barons were all actually in favor of Maryville.
Those don't exist. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, true.
The things that make my point.
This does not feed my narrative, ergo it does not exist. My favorite.
That's how we. If you want to be a caster, that's step number 1.
Force the narrative, Grapes. We simply must force.
Oh man, but EGP gonna have to force a bit of a win here to try and keep this series intact. They are opting to remain on blue side. I think their draft actually worked out rather well for themselves, and for Maryville, actually, it's a bit interesting because they set themselves up for such a big 5v5, but you saw that they had to resort to other measures to try and take that win. It was actually the TP flank, the opting into not fighting, that got them that victory.
Yeah, weirdly enough, the ability to recognize quite what they can do, and I think that that's one of those situations that a more experienced team may have known what to do with on at least EGP's side, because in my eyes they can never buy at 8 seconds of time to get a recall off for multiple important members. I think the way forward there is to simply kill the people that are charging at you, because we saw Zyko on a Lulu, granted with an 850 gold shutdown, but flash into the face of EGP. So that we saw that happen, and at that point you're kind of like, well, you kind of have to kill the Lulu. We're never giving her the opportunity to do this again. But I think if a little earlier, they can maybe go for a counter end of their own right, get a base going through. It doesn't really matter, but it does speak to the lack of tenure, I suppose, across the EGP squad, and opens them up to these things to happen to Maryville, who, like we've mentioned, have got LCS experience. It's worth remembering.
Yeah, and also a great coaching staff to back them up. We're talking about LCS affiliates and how they might have better opportunities to have access to higher levels of coaching staff. Maryville have, they have Jensen Go, they have Miko, they have Tej, they have very experienced coaching staff personnel, and it seems to kind of work out for them both in, the way that they dominate collegiate a lot of the time, and also how they're doing really well in amateur here.
Yeah, I think something great about the Maryville coaching staff is that all three of those three coaches that you mentioned all have a very different role. When Jensen came in at the start, is focused a lot on forming a different culture around well-focused scrims and not necessarily just scrimming as frequently as possible, helping the team out with a lot broader macro sense. Miko, a lot of individual style things, laning tendencies as well, helping the players out with that. And then Tej making sure that he's got the down low on everything that a team coming in would need to know about their opponents. So every single coach across the Maryville team all does very different things, and they all come together to form this exodia of coach comps where they have just got all of the information ready to go.
Yeah, one of the strongest infrastructures, again, outside of maybe those LCS affiliates that we see here in the Proving Ground circuit, are one of the few teams to have made a Proving Grounds event in both 2020, 2021, and now 2022 when they qualified back in the spring split. I'm going to try to continue that streak here as we head to draft for game number 2. Again, we said that the sides are remaining the same, and a lot of the bans are also remaining the same, Rude. Are we going to see a little bit of a salty run back from EGP? Do they think that they deserve that win?
We're borderline identical. If we see Udia banned away by Maryville, this is copy-paste our draft from game number 1.
Other than like the little order switch. But
Alright, fine, okay? Fine.
I'm being nitpicky.
You are. That's my job. But EGP, like you say, they may well just feel that they deserve the win. I would not be surprised to see a salty run back in any capacity, because EGP were winning that game, like we mentioned. All of the every sort of metric that I deem appropriate was going their way, until of course the very end where the turrets got taken over, the Baron got taken over, and the EGP sort of somehow lost. But Maryville, I mean, I don't mind this as an answer. Once again, we didn't really get to touch on it, but I'd like to see Azog try and force a little bit more potentially with this Tristana. It's something that you take in the early stages, and we particularly saw the Halo Blades come out as well for Azog in that game, as Zeri's weakness really is her early game state. So if you can get into the midst of a Zeri fight early on, you really will have a good chance in that bot lane at finding some leads.
Okay, we are 9 for 9 right now.
Okay.
The Tristana and Viego. I think good.
A full
pulls
20 for
both
20.
Ways. Yeah, we got to get to 20, and we're about halfway there. If we see the Poppy, that's 10.
Okay.
Oh man, this is
Renata.
Yeah, we need the Renata for the over the 50% threshold, which again is very interesting. You don't see these salty runbacks a lot because normally the team that loses needs to try to make adjustments other places in the draft to try to get themselves into a better space. But if you're EGP and you're winning for 90% of that game, maybe you think that it was just a couple of slight micro adjustments, and maybe you have to make some changes in the way that you approach them and not necessarily in how you pick and ban these champions.
Let's see. So this would be Lulu as well, and then I think that the bans may well change in this second phase, because I think that Maryville actually may well be scared of the Doxa Zoe. If they want to get that taken off the board, that's something that they can certainly go for. Or the GP as well. Both of those solo laners certainly were quite scary, and I think that what they can maybe do is pick something that's a little better into those picks specifically, right? If they want to go for a blind top laner that this time does very well into the Gangplank, for example, they have that option open to them. Or if they want to take a different mid laner that is just going to really make the Zoe's life miserable, they also have that tool available.
Still on red side, so they get at least one of those two counter matchups that they want. Of course, EGP gets one of them as well, so we'll see exactly what they do. We're still on
Camille,
the train right now.
And then Kale.
Talking about these bans one by one, not necessarily the most interesting thing if you're, a caster. But it is right now. We're seeing the hover. Zoe potentially being taken. I think this makes sense because Doxa had such a great game on it. Nearly was able to kind of stop even the back door 1v2 that Niles and APA put up. So that's the first difference. It does mean that the Camille is available for EGP if they want to take it. But I wouldn't be surprised to just maybe see a blind mid laner here for APA and then wait for the counter on the other side.
They take away the Swain as well. So Kale now open for Niles if he wants to go for that. Camille now open for Evil Genius Prodigies if they want to go for that one. But I think that they're sort of leaving up having left up the Camille has led to leaving up the Kale, because they're quite happy to take the Camille into said matchup. We are seeing the Gnaw picked up once again. Obviously, we can't get the full 10 for 10 on the champions with the Zoe band out, but GP likely to be the trade response. I am no surprise for Faisal. Now we get to see what Doxa blinds. He blinded Zoe in game number 1. This time round, it may well just be something with that same element of range, or we could see Doxa, traditionally a bit more of an assassin player, whip out something a little more spicy.
Yeah, the Yone looked really good in their matchup against the likes of DK crew, but this is something that Doxa played a lot throughout the beginning part of, I believe, the open qualifiers. Played this Ahri a lot. Actually, no, last split. In the first iteration of Evil Genius' Prodigies, where Ahri was really, really strong. To comfort we go, but this is a pick that is very important here for the side of Maryville, because APA is very, very good at this Victor. I want to pull up a couple stats, and then you can kind of take this away here, Rude. APA on this Victor has 12 kills a game, 4-1, with 75% kill participation, 7 KDA, and broke 2 records for the PGCQ kill single game record. He had 18, which tied the record, and then last week had 19, which broke the record, both on this champion. So it's looking pretty good for Maryville. If that's the one adjustment that you're making, and you won the first game, I wouldn't be too upset about the composition that Jensen and the rest of the team kind of brewed up here.
No, I mean, my job's done. You've just listed everything as to why this Victor is such a powerful pick. If we cast our minds back to PTCQ1 for summer, not too far back, in the elimination match between Maryville and Cincinnati Fear, this Victor was a very highly priced pick between those two teams as well.
Yeah, it did a whole lot of that. That was a game where it set the record, 18, and then kind of, you know, getting more and more against Supernova as well. I remember, I think they were talking either on Twitter or the interviews where APA like told Azog, okay, I gave you the pentakill in game number 1, so you guys need to get me this kill record, because he had his mind on it throughout the entire game, and so was just farming kills, stayed in the fountain a little bit longer. So maybe it's slightly inflated. I don't know exactly how you want to count that math, but we're seeing a 5-stack from them. APA trying to get on the board a little bit early to break the record once again.
We'll see if they can get something fancy at level 1 here. Really good pathing to avoid the turret. Not too much CC between these two.
Okay.
So it's very scary, and it's a bit of a gamble, because in that situation, if Faisal paths up, he dies or burns flash, etc. If he paths down, he's fine. So ultimately he paths down and he's fine. But now EG, they get to move into this bot side jungle and put down a little bit of vision to preempt a little bit of information, see where Iconic is going to be starting through one way or the other. And it looks like, in fact, that they're not going to do that, and instead don't put any wards down. And I'm wrong.
Well, they put a ward in the top lane. I think that Yukino put that trinket up in the red buff, so they will know that Iconic is starting up in the top lane, both from that at the very least. Albeit maybe a little bit later, because again, it is Raptor starts for both of these players. And it seems like, despite the differences in the mid lane champions right now, Rude, we're seeing a very similar game plan for both of these teams in this, as we did in game number 1.
Of course, we've got two different mid laners. We can touch on a little bit of this Victor versus R8 matchup. Typically, Victor at level 1 outtrades pretty much everybody, because you have your Siphon Strike, the Q, Siphon Power rather, Siphon Strike is Nasa's Q, Siphon Power to opt into really good trades with your shield. Unfortunately, Ahri is one of the few exceptions that proves the rule, and it means that you have very good trading back with the Electrocute, a couple of autos as well, and W. If you get all 3 of those Foxfires onto a single target, you do win all trades at level 1. Of course, First Strike for APA as well means that he's going to be trying to farm a little bit of extra gold up against the Ahri, and pre-level 6, you do have a range advantage with the laser over the Ahri.
Yeah, it's a typical, it's the Bezos build, is that what they call it? With,
I don't know, do
they? And everything. I think this is proving to me, Rude, that I spent too much time on Twitter, on League Twitter, because
maybe
I probably don't need to know that at this point.
Well, the thing is, he didn't start Mana Crystal, and he hasn't based on the 3rd wave, so
okay, so
we're fine.
Maybe
Bezos build is you go for this exact build, but you take Futures Market, and I think it's the 3rd or the 4th wave. You go back to base, you TP into the lane with a Lost Chapter at 3 minutes or something crazy. So it's the 4-minute Lost Chapter tech, but
so it's the Warren Buffett build. Still very rich, maybe not the richest person in the world right now. Is that
sure? You're naming people. The second person,
I had a big book of world records when I was a little kid, and he was always number 2 or something on that list, and that's what that's what I'm remembering right now, at least.
I thought you were gonna say you had a big book of rich people, just
yeah,
idolized. We bow to Elon Musk's Twitter shrine every single night.
Sigma male grind set book right there that I got when I was 5 years old for my birthday.
Nice, you're ahead of the curve. You've been scaling this entire time.
Yeah, we're getting there. Yukino also scaling a little bit more than he did in game number 1, not actually opting to skip the Krugs like he did in the first game, which means that he hits level 4, gets the opportunity to secure that Scuttle Crab up in the top side. And hey, we're talking about big brain, things right now here, Rude, with all the money and everything. Interstellar for Niles, I mean, that's a pretty intensely intellectual movie, I would say, right?
But yeah, this is a pop culture reference I can vibe with. This is rude law for everybody.
Okay.
I recently was on holiday in Sweden, and Swedish TVs have 14 channels. The public televisions have 14 channels for free. Interstellar got played twice while I was there, so I watched it both times.
Is it really popular in Sweden, or is it just like a what are the odds kind of thing?
I think it was what are the odds, but I did see Matthew McConaughey way more times than I thought I would.
Well, looks like Faisal might be screaming for his daughter as well, as he will have to pop the orange and get away. Nice little gank here for Maryville to start things off. The wave in a really good place for Niles to continue farming at a pretty advantageous state.
And this is the second time, obviously, that we've seen these two top laners opt into this matchup when Maryville pick the Gnar. They know that the GP is going to be the response, and Faisal quite happy to just take this once again. You can see both TPs expended. This time round it is going, like you mentioned, a little bit better for Niles, just by nature of where that wave is. It's not without his trade of a good wave position down on the bot side, but with no control of this top lane right now, Faisal could be in trouble, and Iconic can just path right back into a gank.
Yeah, here we go. The mist is going to come through. Faisal has the flash still. Stun not connecting just yet. I believe the orange is also up and for the ready. The Spectrum Maul is going to come out. Here comes the cleanse of the crowd control, but the damage is just too much. Iconic with first blood for Maryville.
Unfortunately, just stepping a little too close. Unfortunately, you just need help right there as Faisal, because he wants to crash and completely understand that his wave is in a terrible position, but Yukino's just not on the right side of the map to help that be the case. And it does cost him his life, cost him his flash as well, when Niles is able to stay on top without using the flash. It means that come level 6 as well, there are a lot of opportunities for Niles to make some solo kill plays happen, potentially, try and utilize Iconic once more. As we can very well expect to see this Gangplank in a little bit of trouble for a fair whack of time.
Very different start than game number 1, right? Faisal was the one kind of outplaying those ganks last time around. Unfortunately, was not put in a very similar situation off of this play. Really nice job by Iconic to go for the regank, having the correct timer to opt for a play that nets them the gold advantage this time around. But with Iconic still hovering around the top side jungle, EGP get a whole lot of opportunities down in the bottom lane. Thought they might try to go for the dive, but instead just a couple of camps. A nice little reset for Yukino.
And I want to sort of cycle the clock back a little bit here and remind everybody, of course, how EGP generated their leads earlier on in game number 1. It was through a really successful top lane dive around that level 4 marker, and we talked about how similar these drafts were, with one crucial difference being that mid lane. Doxa on the Ahri wasn't able this time round to really force the issue onto APA. He wasn't able to push that 4th wave in, go up to the top side and force that dive, as Dombre's in trouble.
Ooh, really trying to hold the wave in. It will be at the cost of the flash, but looks like he'll survive. Mia will get majority of this wave. Yeah, that's very worth.
Well, that's Dombre. This is the support life Mark II, right? Where game number 1, Zyko got the 850 gold. It was worth. They won the game. Dombre bends his flash to save Mia the wave. Let's see if this is worthwhile.
How noble of him. You travel anywhere? Where would you go? New Zealand. I saw Azog is actually like a Lord of the Rings reference as well. I know they filmed a lot of the show over there as well. Maybe he wants to go visit some of those film sets. I don't know.
What's the most sort of exotic place that you've ever been to?
That's a tough question. I'll get back to you on that. I have to kind of think things over a little bit. I mean, I went to like a national park in California. I've been to like Yosemite. I don't know if that counts. It's like exotic is not necessarily the correct word. Our family doesn't really do a lot of like beach trips, so like it's kind of more like go look at nature, like look at the cool trees and things like that instead.
Look at the cool trees. How many trees can you name?
I play Minecraft, so has many of those trees. That's it.
As many as are in Minecraft. None of the ones that you've seen in real life. This is true.
It's like
true grapes lore.
Yeah, Minecraft tree versus the like regular trees. Like I definitely can't. I can't tell the difference. Probably. It's just in the game. Niles chopping down away at Faisal right now. Has a bit of a CS discrepancy at about 3, but the wave crashing in will be able to pick up a little bit more. Iconic and Niles playing a lot more to the top side than they did in this first game, and it's yielding them a little bit more success than game number 1.
And we are at this sort of trading of maps, the vertical jungle coming through, and we talked a lot in the draft about the infrastructure, of course, that Maryville do have as a coaching squad. I want to touch a little bit as well on EG Prodigies, because we did I did speak to Edo before the game, the coach of Evil Genius's Prodigies, and mentioned, of course, to me that obviously working with EG, he is the head coach, but he has a ton of resources, has plenty of other sort of people to fall back on if they need help specifically for a game.
Ooh.
And specifically for a gank in the mid lane, as well as Doxa forces the flash out of APA.
Ooh, Yukino still looking to go for it here, actually. Doesn't pop the Keeper's Verdict. Don't know if he was in range without utilizing that flash. So just getting the Summoner out of APA is a very good thing. And Doxa doing a really nice job here, Rude, in this 1v1 matchup, making sure that this Victor that is so feared by many in the amateur space is not getting ahead this early on.
No, and of course, Victor, I think that with 79 farm, you're about ready to tick over to your first Hex Core upgrade. Depends quite how many successful cannon minions you've taken down, and it looks like APA's passed that check, is able to use the upgraded Death Ray. So for now, where Ari has been largely dominating, largely controlling what happens in this lane, APA can either accept a wave or push a wave. He can clear them out with no real hassle whatsoever. You've reached level 7, you've reached that upgraded Hex Core, and once those two things have come to be, 4 points in E plus upgraded E, you simply clear waves without any hassle.
And we know APA, right? He's the guy that likes to push out the wave, roam, get a bunch of kills that way. Of course, known for being an Aurelion Soul One trick. You can do this on Victor as well. That's how, APA likes to generate a lot of these leads. Not necessarily in terms of the farm. I don't think he actually has a positive experience difference or CS difference at the 10 or 15 minute mark. It's mostly about going for those plays around the map to get the kills, which is how he's able to rack them up. So now with the upgraded Death Ray, I might try to look for a little bit more of that. But it looks like Niles and Iconic want to set up a bit of a dive themselves without the ability from their mid laner just yet.
And this is a bit more what we used to see from EGP in the spring, where they would weak side Firesol and would see how well he absorbed pressure. Last time they went for this, it was a success.
Let's see if this Maul is going to connect. Teleport's going to come in. Doxa coming in with the TP. Firesol flashing aggressively, but there comes the roam for APA. We predicted it from the start, as it is now 2-0 for Maryville. Doxa looking for the charm onto Niles, but is not able to connect with any more damage, and he will have to flash away as well. Maryville with a very successful dive in the top lane.
Really awkward pathing there on that charm, actually. The charm means that he walks all the way round to the south of the wall instead of walking right back into the Orb of Deception, which would have been enough to take Niles down. So a little bit awkward, you hit the charm, but unfortunately the orb can't make its mark there. Doxa burns flash, burns TP for nothing. A second kill in the top lane for the Maryville top jungle duo. In fact, it's APA that roams up and takes that one for himself. But it's again putting Firesol further behind. A very crucial piece of EGP's successes in game number 1. It's going to be largely limited this time round in game number 2. Certainly going to take a longer time to come online. And we're seeing these trades. The last time it was Maryville who were behind but had 2 dragons. This time it's EGP. They're behind in gold, but they've got 2 drakes for themselves. No flash on APA.
Oh, there's a flash on Yukino, though. In comes the charm. Damage will connect. Spirit Rush out. APA nearly having enough to try and trade 1 for 1, but it is Doxa getting out of the board for EGP.
Yeah, if you've got that Chaos Storm there, APA finds the kill. Dombre.
Oh, it's warded. Here comes a hostile takeover. The Azog will use the cleanse to get away from the fear. But now here comes Mia. They're underneath the turret. The W doesn't hit the turret, so now the wave will have the opportunity to be cleared. Mia trying to go for the kills, needs to play with the flash, and Azog goes down. Hex flash over from Yukino, yields 2.
And then in, out, thank you very much. Phase Rush baits him and gets him away from the turret in time. Firesol on this top side. A little bit isolated once again, but Doxa beelining it from the base to try and get up here to save his top laner for a 3rd time.
No TP, but the Ari's got feed and is trying to get in to support her top laner. Iconic taking a big chunk of damage, and it will be the 1 for 1. The wave will be secured by Doxa, or could go for the play back in onto Niles. Who is approaching Meganar here. Also you can see approaching the scene of the crime as well. Niles going to try to just do this before him. There comes the crunch, picks up like another kill. It is 2-1 for Maryville in the top dive.
Throws the thumbs up for good measure as well. No Spirit Rush in Yukino. He was just bot lane. He's back to top lane. 3 levels down.
Here comes the Keeper's Verdict. Meganar will be timed out soon, but the wall does a whole lot. There comes the stun. Yukino unable to continue the chase, and Niles gets out scot-free.
Yeah, that is the difference in levels right there. You don't have damage in this Poppy build, really, and without base levels, you really find yourself far behind.
Ooh, Mia now gonna jump in straight into the arms of Zyko. The shield bow has been popped, and Mia is trying to run, trying to escape, and will survive.
Just barely gets out Immortal Shield Bow, doing massive overtime for Mia in the bot lane. Sticks around a little too long, a little greedy there, allows Azog to get the reset, and like we mentioned in game number 1, you can trade E for W every single time, as this Zeri versus Tristana. May well see a bit of a response though, Yukino. No Turbo Chem Tag finish just yet, but certainly a lot of move speed to go about.
Here we go. Another play potentially made here by EGP. They're pushing the advantage down in the bottom lane, but aren't able to find anything off of that. Of course, Azog has been continuing to go for the aggression here, Rude, but hasn't been able to net himself any sort of advantage just yet.
Unfortunately not, and it does mean that we're going to see on the top side of Summoner's Rift without too much control. Doxer, check the brush. Check the brush, Doxer!
No.
Too late. Too little, too late. Rift Herald goes down in the top side. Maryville secured turret tier 1, or turret number 1 rather, as well. And then we will just be able to break open this Ari's lane. Has spent a lot of time roaming around, was just top lane, now finds herself bot lane. Doxer certainly sacrificing gold, experience, a potential lead in this game over APA to try and set up the team to be a lot more well-balanced overall. But thus far hasn't really come to blows. Is, you know, taking away this turret for himself, so he's going to get a little bit of cash injection. But by the by, this is Maryville coming out strong in game number 2, something we didn't see from them in game number 1, where they were still able to win.
Yeah, and again, I think it goes back a little bit to Iconic. Of course, returning from Academy just from last split and having a really good game number 2. Of course, the bot side prio didn't really work as well for them this time around in game number 1. So this time, you know, opting more towards helping out Niles, getting him up and available, and likely with a very massive goal lead at this point. 35 CS has all the kills, the tower as well, and I think that's where most of the advantage here for Maryville lie. Which does mean, you know, in a 4v4 isolated, EGP still have a really good shot. We'll see if they have the opportunity to do this here. 4 members of the Saints are here in the bottom lane. They're going to break open the tier 1 to try to find some more as well. Yukino going to get stunned up. Polymorph, does he have any opportunity to try and live? APA phase chasing him down. Here comes the phase rush. Keeper's verdict out, but the Chaos Storm will burn the Poppy to the ground.
Mia now in trouble as well.
Has to try and maybe try to dash away, but Niles has arrived from the top side to push his advantage further, as Mia will get shut down here. Rift Herald still being utilized, going to get another proc, and Maryville continuing to push this gold advantage. It's now 4,000.
Textbook snowball by Maryville so far. They put all of their gold into Niles and Iconic through the early game, and then they move those 2 pieces down to the bot side of the Rift, who are able to extend advantages for the rest of the team. Azog gets a ton of gold injected into him through that turret falling. Not quite enough to overtake Mia in the standings, but we look at the top of that total gold leaderboard. APA with the Bezos build ahead in gold over Doxer, Iconic and Niles. Both very well off.
It's the, you know, slightly below Bezos build. Remember, it doesn't have the futures market.
Sorry,
Still, Niles and Iconic are ahead.
I mean, he might have futures market. We don't know.
That is true. We don't actually know.
He might have futures market.
Didn't go for the tech that you were talking about though.
No,
so
didn't start Mana Crystal, so
not fully
-1.
based. Maybe like half based.
Yeah.
Half based.
Bass.
But you can only say half of the S too. It's like bass, like sort of like a soft S. Oh
okay,
man.
I thought there was gonna be a play, but the soft S certainly that's the best way to go about it.
Slowed him down.
That's the only way. Do you remember the Grapes and Rooted arbitrary scale?
The what?
The Grapes and Rooted arbitrary scale, where we'd say it's one thing that was slightly bad happened, and we just go -1.
Did we do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was us. That was us literally last week. Never mind. My
we did do the mine. Okay. It's been a. We've done a lot of games, dude. There's been I've been on like 3 streams. I was hosting as well.
True.
There was a lot of stuff going on.
That was a busy day.
It's me, not you. It's me, not you.
That's true. That's true. And I accept that. I accept that about you as well.
I'm taking responsibility here. And now it is actually Maryville who are looking to take a little bit of agency themselves. Yukino going to yeet away Iconic, but Zyko goes down first as Faisal picks up the kill. APA is arrived though. Mia hopping over, has that lightning rush. Now Doxa with the Renata W on top will look to try to push the pace. Niles looking to transform, but the Mar does not connect. Nobody stunned, but everybody taking a big chunk of damage. Iconic with the Heartbreaker, but has to flash away. Big buster shot coming out from Azog as well. Yukino trying, but Yukino will succeed in getting that 1-for-1. Iconic now with the reset. This is where the Viego can really start to take over, as Mia has to try and run away. It is a 1-for-1 so far, and it looks like Maryville still have priority around this pit.
Oh, really surprised Iconic didn't opt to go into Mia there. I was expecting a bit of a commit onto that play. Maybe we'll still find it.
Here we go, Mia. There's a shield buff pop. That's a win. That's a win for Iconic.
Definitely.
Minus 90 seconds.
That was such a close fight on that top side. EGP are getting ragged to and fro, and Maryville are just playing on the very edge of their ranges and sort of dangling bait in front of them at every single juncture. Iconic here gets caught out. Steadfast Presence does do them a good amount of work, and this ulti actually not too consequential. I think that it just buys the time for EGP to regroup and then reassess. Really good play on the top side. It's worth noting by Doxer to pretty much take out the bot lane of Maryville from this fight, and this is where they're getting drawn every which way but how, right? Niles, very low on HP, APA low on mana, and then Iconic comes back in, flashes back out to safety. Azog shows himself with about 50 HP, and then, you know, we've got blood in our eyes. Yukino just needs one anything, really.
Yeah. It was actually...
And they managed to trade it.
That was the Chemtech.
It's the buckler.
Yeah. Chemtech buckler for double. I think it was both, right?
Yeah, okay. Well, you know what? It doesn't... The beautiful thing is, Grapes, doesn't matter because they got the kill. So
you can't. I guess you could flash. Yeah, I don't know. Either way, I think that fight we were expecting a lot more kills to happen, but it just
I was expecting more from
Maryville.
Maryville
So
as well.
close. Yeah, Maryville. They're the ones who went for the aggression. Iconic got the resets. We know that Iconic is so good on this Viego in this time in LCS and Academy, but wasn't able to find much more off of just that one reset onto the Poppy there.
Look at that mid lane tier 1 turret as well, by the way. That is...
Somebody just breathe on it.
If last legs could be, you know, a turret
HP
health.
check, 32.
Yeah, okay. Mia, you're playing Zeri. You don't need a wave. You don't need to auto attack. Press Q. Go do it.
This is like a situation where I would just, if I was playing Zeri here, again, not the right decision. I am by no means a pro player.
Disagree, Grapes. You are always right.
You just tank. You just go in, auto attack it. You tank the death. # worth, right?
Why are we dying for that? It's one auto.
We're dying. Yeah, I don't know. It looks like APA is dying for this though. Gonna get locked in. Really nice pick off by Yukino, and now EGP in a 4v5 situation can try to push around this Baron. It is available and up for the taking, but there's still a lot of strong members from the Saints. Here we go. They're gonna get it. This is why you just gotta be patient here.
Who gets it? Who's gonna do it?
She has a range. She pressed Q.
Oh,
she did what she said after maybe a little bit of a delay. As now Dox is just, you know, harping the rest of Maryville away as well. 1v3 is still able to, you know, buy a little bit more time. There's 3 lanes being pushed at the same time by both of the different teams. Maryville will get, you know, that top tier 2, but it will be responded by Faisal, while EGP will try to get this push mid. Dragon spawning in about 20 seconds.
Yeah, and you can see, look at the minimap. Maryville actually trying to collapse on this
Catch
Iconic
it.
right behind me.
Oh! Not even close.
You know
Hashtag
the
calculated.
cartoons. You know the cartoons where there's just like an outline of somebody who fully poofed away, like dust prints that dropped to the floor. That was that.
Yeah, and looks like no mouse will be caught here, but Faisal might be caught out a little bit. But look at the backside. Donbre goes down before even utilizing that bailout, and APA picks up a kill with a death ray as well. 2 dead on the side of Evil Geniuses. Prodigies and Maryville will even out this dragon count at 2.
Akin to what we saw from last game, 2 Drakes for 2 now after one team who was behind takes 2 dragons for themselves. A lot of similarities, a lot of parallels being drawn from these games, and if that is to draw anything really, Maryville need to be scared. Need to not fumble a late game decision making. Good thing is there are no double TPs available for EG just yet, and they may look to try and capitalize.
There's a
Doxer's
TP
got
on Niles.
support, though.
Yeah, it looks like a 1-for-1 right now, but Niles might be in for a bit of a rude awakening. In comes Yukino, the keeper's verdict does go wide. Here comes Niles in with the Gnar, and now Azog has jumped forward, trying to get the resets. There's one, gonna hop away. Mia unlocking the ultimate for some extra range. Faisal matching the TP as well. Here comes APA though with the flank, and APA trying to burn them down. Doesn't get the barrel to connect. In comes Iconic as well. Yukino trying to escape. Mia getting caught out. And now EGP have to run for the hills. Iconic gets 1, and Maryville will get the Baron.
One step too far forward. They try and take down Niles, but he turns into Mega. He buys enough time, and 3 members of EGP paid the price That's the only 2, but it's a very important 2. It's a lot of their damage. Doxa and Mia down. Yukino with no flash has to try and find a miracle way into the pit if he wants to steal it, but he's not going to go for it. Baron to Maryville. 2 kills to Maryville and complete control of Summoner's Rift. Set up for the team who took the game number 1.
I was not expecting a 2-0. I know I predicted Maryville, and I know that right now it's looking like a bit of a, you know, smarter one right now. Not no shots thrown or anything, but
that smells like a caster curse, Grapes. Are you smelling
okay,
that?
it's a win-win. It's a win-win. Either my prediction's right or we get a game 3. I'm happy either.
True.
But again, we saw what happened in the last matchup when EGP had a pretty sizable lead, albeit not this large and without the Baron in tow. But there's still a lot of opportunities here. The scaling continues to be available here for EGP. Mia's still continuing to ramp up, now has 2 completed items, but Maryville have all the time in the world to try and break this game open right here and right now. Niles going in onto Yukino, gonna get the support. Oh! That's mean. That's so mean.
Why aren't they giving the kill to Zyko?
Hello, Mr. Principal. That's a case of bullying right here. It's not. Oh.
Not cool, guys.
Not cool.
Not cool. However, very well played for punishing an overextension. And I mean, Niles is truly BMing. He doesn't even have armor, by the way. He's got plated steel caps. He was tanking that with very minimal resistances. Still more than happy to try and go for it, though. Maryville with a 4v5 out on the map, pushing 2 lanes at once. Going to be difficult to try and take this bot lane tier 3 turret. Doxa here standing stalwart in his defense, and a big wave under the turret with a GP and an Ari there. Maybe it doesn't fall.
They're gonna try to break it up. The wave's still very much intact, and Niles still very much alive. Maybe not for long though, as a barrel that's a decent chunk in onto the Gnar. Meanwhile though, Iconic taking the entirety of the mid lane tier 2, leaving only the inhibitors and their supporting structures left for the taking.
No Spirit Rush for Doxa means that his team fight capabilities, if there were to be one, are severely hampered. And Maryville, they managed to take down that tier 3 now with Baron at their back still for another minute. They may very well look for that inhibitor. It's worth remembering that Azov can't use the explosive charge on an inhibitor, only allowed to do that on turrets, so it's going to be a little harder for Maryville to take this objective specifically, but with Lulu at the back, with enough pressure through that mid lane as well, Maryville walk their way down, secure the first inhibitor of this game.
It seems like they have the ability to go for even more. You continue to see Iconic basically going by himself up in this mid lane. I would say split pushing because it's not in the side lane, but you know, absorbing so much pressure, nobody on EG really can try to take him down. Level 15, level 16 on Niles as well. Such a big experience gap on top of the gold lead that Maryville have already generated.
What's the plan now for EGP? Because it becomes very difficult with one inhibitor down. It becomes even more so if they lose a second one in the following set of plays for them. They do still have good late game scaling. It's worth remembering that this Zeri and GP, 2 champions that go into the late game incredibly efficiently and will dish out a large portion of damage. A bit of a saving grace for them is that if they lose a soul, it's only a Cloud Soul. And they can still find these fairly decent team fights. GP plus Zeri and a Renata ulti over the top. They have got the tools to try and deal with it, but you talked about the experience differentials, the leads that come from that. Niles is going to be very daunting prospect for anybody to try and cut down, with 2-level leads over anybody and 3-level lead over Mia, 6-level lead over support.
He's fast enough. Okay, we'll escape.
Deadman's plate, Turbo Chem Tank, he's never in doubt, never in doubt. Absolutely fine. Give this straight, guys.
Yeah, I was going to say, speaking of speed, Maryville is going to have a whole lot of it after getting 3 straight of these Cloud Drakes. And now they have the very similar team composition that we saw in game number 1, of course, but this time they have a big lead. And with a team that loves to team fight so much, Maryville are going to be able to do so, and they will be more than happy to try and take these 5v5s because EGP don't really have a whole lot of responses just yet.
Still this 3-level disparity that we saw a long time ago, now Dombre.
They're really trying to go for this, but Niles has the Mega, already has to use a Keeper's Verdict in response. Mia has to hop over the wall to keep herself alive from the likes of Iconic. Nobody dying just yet, but it got pretty close right there. EGP playing on a knife's edge.
Mia bends heal and Immortal Shield, though 2 cooldowns that will be very useful for a big team fight. in the coming minutes if there happens to be one. Maryville took that bot lane inhibitor. From that, they were able to, establish some control of the bot side jungle, move their way through, and set up nicely for a play in the mid lane. Yukino's popped that turbo chem tank. I don't think that this is going to be an easy play. TP's available for APA as well.
Watch the Narbar. He's going to tick, 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 and it's going to soon go boom. And Yukino has no choice but to run for the hills with all of that rage building up. Even Doxa was not enough to deter Niles from continuing to push forward.
How much gold has Niles got right now? I swear he was sat on these components when he was tanking the tier 3 turret bot lane.
He finished the Force of Nature, got a stopwatch, I think, and now it's back.
Alright.
So,
and a control ward.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's
decent buy.
That's the most important part of the build, right? The control ward.
Yeah. The very important one-time use.
Look at the picks continuing to happen here for Maryville, though. Ooh, Doxa just gets noped out of existence. Now he might start to spot the music here. One more dash available for Doxa. We'll get away from the Spectral Maw, but Iconic is so tanky on this Viego. No real escape available. Doxa will go down.
And with that Spirit Visage, Iconic says, yes, attack me, make me stronger. Every single stack of magic damage that goes into that Viego makes him faster, allows him to chase down the Ahri even quicker. It's a double-edged sword, a catch-22 for Doxa in that situation. Does get taken out. No mid laner for Evil Genius's Prodigies means that on the spawn of this Baron, Maryville University will be able to take it.
They're so far ahead.
Fears no one. 3 levels up over Mia. 2 autos did that to Dombre.
Oh, okay. So it does get knocked away. Hostile takeover doesn't end up landing. I was going to say, Maryville could have very potentially used 2 members to take the Baron and the other 3 to just wipe a fight. But instead, going to just go the slow but steady way, locking down this major objective, getting a couple of backs here from some of the members, and then looking to potentially seal the coffin with one final swoop.
A bot lane inhibitor is going to respawn fairly soon. This is probably the last wave of super minions that are going to spawn from the bot lane for Maryville. So once that's been dealt out, once that's been swept with, we're sat at a, I don't want to call it neutral map state, but we're sat at a position where neither team have super minions spawning. And that could very well be the best opportunity for EGP to try and make their final stand. This is going to be a very difficult fight. They are down 10,000 gold. We have Tristana with 3 items and a stopwatch. That crit strike multiplier has been hit. Now they're just forcing in the top lane.
Let's have the Infinity Edge now for Mia, so she'll be able to do a little bit more damage here, but Maryville do a lot to these structures. Inhibitor finally respawning, but in comes Niles in with the Gnar! And now it might be a little too late for EGP, but the damage is still continuing to come out. Mia was left basically untouched, doing a decent chunk of damage with the W's as well. And here comes Doxa, landing the charm in onto Azog, but the cleanse away will mean everybody on Maryville survive.
Importantly, no lightning rush for Mia. This is a very important cooldown for the Zeri. Azog just jumped forward.
Yeah. This could be a good opportunity here. Flash, Doxa misses the charm, but does get rooted in. Azog is going to flash forward. The Buster Shot takes down the mid laner. And now Zyko doing a whole lot of damage as well. Mia still alive, still the primary DPS here for EGP. But Maryville are still 5 strong. Maryville are looking to end the game, end the series, send themselves into the quarterfinals. Inhibitor 1, Inhibitor 2 have been broken open, and only the Nexus towers remain.
30 seconds on Doxa, losing all 3 inhibitors tends to mean that the game is over. Be it now, be it later. A very difficult prospect for EGP. It's going to take a more monumental effort to secure a win from this position. 35 seconds on Cloud Soul. Maryville University go back to base, spend all their gold, are going to reset on the map, and they are going to be at their apex of strength. 4 items complete for Azog. APA working toward that Void Staff completion as well. 11,883 gold, the tippy top of that gold disparity, and with everybody having reset, they have spent all of their gold. They have got every inch of that advantage in their inventories, and now they simply have to press down, walk into the base, and watch the super minions do the hard work.
Yeah, that's what you can do. That's what kind of gives you that advantage for taking those 3 structures. And Cloud Soul very certainly going to the hands of Maryville as well. Give them even more movement speed, both passively and also while casting their ultimate abilities, which work very well in terms of trying to chase EGP back into their own fountain. And now for Evil Geniuses, going to be a very tough hill to climb. Down now 10,000 gold. Doxa has to try to find picks like this. They're going in onto Niles, but the Gnar goes back in onto 2. The hostile takeover does a lot. Already a 1-for-1. Iconic getting the first kill, but not securing the reset. Somehow EGP staying alive in this game. Zyko very, very low HP. And
they need more. They got the fight.
A good situation, but the Super Minion's going to continue to crash in. Maryville can continue to push the pressure.
They just need to shepherd these minions into the Nexus turrets. EGP forced themselves the fight when the minions went there, but now they're still dead even. 4 versus 4 in the base in Maryville. They can just watch the minions do the hard work.
Huge Chaos Storm. Everyone on EG is just burning to the ground. Finally, we get stunned up, and now Mia is still alive. Still at a decent chunk of HP, but in goes Iconic, and in goes Azog, and in goes Maryville. Mia trapped under the fountain, and that's where she will remain. Nexus exposed. Maryville are headed to the round of 8. They missed it the first time, but they don't want to make it a pattern here in the summer split.
Lovely stuff. Maryville securing a 2-0 game number 1 and game number 2. Complete stark contrasts for Maryville. They come out of the gate swinging in this second game, find themselves leads through the top lane, accelerate it across the map, and everybody on Maryville pulled their weight. Did a very good job at crucial moments, setting up for a 2-0 that I don't think anybody really was expecting.
I know both of us were eyeing that 3 games, you know, that was what we were expecting, what we were hoping for from 2 teams of this caliber. And if you're EGP, you know all of those guys are kicking themselves for dropping that game number 1 where they had such a good game state, and just a couple of unfortunate situations send the back door straight into another Maryville win. But Maryville is definitely feeling very, very good about this. You know, had a bit of a rough patch a couple of months ago, dropping unfortunately in CeeLo where they knew that they weren't expected to be, and then also missing the playoffs to Cincinnati Fear, but now proving themselves back to a very, very strong team. And this game really spoke volumes to that.
Yeah, you can see that that gold lead is, like we mentioned, completely different to what we saw in game number 1. They took control early, that 10-15 minute marker. You can see slowly mounting leads, and from there on in, it is just a very bleak picture for an Evil Genius Prodigies fan. Not to say that they are completely out of the tournament, though. This is a group stage. They get to go down into the lower bracket and face up against a team which is currently undetermined, but we'll be finding that one out, of course, not too long from now.
Yeah, we're going to see that after the conclusion of our coverage of this series. But before we do that, going to take a short break. When we return, we'll be talking with some of the members of Maryville University to see how they won that series. See you in a bit. Welcome back, everybody, to Unified's coverage of the Summer Proving Ground Circuit Qualifier. I'm joined here by Zyko, the support here for Maryville University. Zyko, congratulations on the 2-0 and securing your spot in the quarterfinals. There were some pretty explosive games that you just had there. What were the comms like throughout the experience there against EGP?
The first game, the comms were just like chill, and like we're just being really supportive of each other because we had a really rough first game, so we're just supporting each other and just trying to come back through whatever means. And the second game, it was a lot better, cleaner than the first game. So we're all just, most of the players that have COVID right now just wanted to get some rest and just looking forward to ending the game, while the other players were just focused on closing out the game as quickly as possible.
And you did pretty effectively, I'd say, especially in game number 2. You did mention, though, that the comms were rather calm throughout game number 1. I mean, it seems a little interesting, especially considering that you guys were behind for a large portion of that game. Was there any point specifically where you thought to yourself, like, okay, this is the moment we're going to win this game?
Only when Niles was screaming that that Ian should TP top, and we should just stop their backs, and then me and Iconic just kept going forward.
Yeah, and it worked pretty well. You guys just chased him down, allowed the rest of the backdoor to come through, and that was a really creative way to end game 1, obviously. And I kind of want to talk a little bit more about your experience on Maryville as a whole. Of course, one of the top collegiate programs here in North America. I remember you played 2 games of the Amumu last week, and you played 2 games of the Lulu this week. I mean, it's a pretty different play style. What's it been like trying to, wear all sorts of hats here on this new team?
I mean, like being here in Maryville is like a pretty interesting experience for me because I never really lived by myself, and like especially out of school, and it was like great to like meet people and talk to them and whatnot, and being able to play for them finally, like of the main roster.
Yeah.
So every day of practice, like we try out new things, like engage and like enchanters. So we just like hop between the both, and like Jensen or whoever would just help like, oh, like this is what you should do as engage, this is what you should do as an enchanter, and I just kind of take it all in and just play off the vibes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned experience a little bit earlier there. I think everybody on your team, whether it's you or also your players, your teammates, or also the coaching staff, have tons of experience either in amateur or even in areas beyond that, whether it be an academy or LCS. What does it kind of mean to have? Do you think it's any sort of advantage to have experience, playing a lot of competitive League of Legends when it comes to matching up against people that maybe don't have that kind of accolades?
Oh yeah, I think it's a huge advantage for us. Just knowing, like going to a game and like having a structured plan and idea of how we should play things out, whether it's early, mid, or late. Just going from there, and also like having like Niles, Ethan, a bunch of experience, just helping guide us is also really helpful as well.
Yeah, the team looks really, really good, of course.
Mm. I'll just be disconnected.
So, Zyko, how does it feel to be the best support in PG?
Oh, it feels great. It feels great. How does it feel like you get the best top in PG?
Just top gap, baby. Just top gap.
Top gap? Okay, I think I'm back. I apologize for that quick mess up there.
It's okay, it's okay.
But the question I was asking, of course, the top gap question was very important. But what are sort of the aspirations going forward? I mean, are you going to win Proving Grounds? Is just getting the Proving Grounds, beating the academy team? What are you looking at for that?
I mean, of course, the goal is to like win it all. Like whether it's this event, the main event. Like, hopefully, we're good enough to win it all.
Well, looking pretty dominant so far, especially throughout this tournament. Thank you so much, Zeka, for taking the time to talk with us, and best of luck moving forward into the playoffs. We're going to take a short break. When we return, we have our second best of 3 of the day, Supernova versus DK Crew. Don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss it.